Most retirement advice is built around a number that more than 90% of Americans will never reach. If you are in that majority, this video is not about catching up. It is about whether what you actually have is enough and what you need to get right for it to work. There is also a variable in this conversation that almost nobody accounts for. It can swing the outcome by hundreds of thousands of dollars in either direction. It has nothing to do with how much someone has saved. That comes back around shortly. But first, here's the question that actually matters. Not whether you hit the benchmark, whether what you have is actually enough. And the answer to that question is more nuanced and more hopeful than most retirement conversations suggest. Here is what the data actually shows. More than half of Americans turning 65 between 2024 and 2030 have total assets of $250,000 or less, according to the Alliance for Lifetime Income's Peak 65 study. The median retirement account balance for Americans aged 55 to 64 was approximately $271,000 at the end of 2024, according to the 2025 How America Saves report. The million-dollar benchmark that dominates retirement conversations is a goal the overwhelming majority of Americans will not reach. For most people, the real question is not how to hit $1 million. It is whether the amount they do have, combined with everything else available to them, is actually enough. The answer depends on three things: how much a person spends, where they live, and what other income sources are in place alongside their savings. Start with spending. The average annual expenditure for Americans aged 65 and older was approximately $60,000 in 2023, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data. Using the 4% withdrawal rule, a portfolio of $500,000 generates $20,000 per year. Combined with an average Social Security benefit of roughly $1,980 a month, that produces a total annual income of approximately $43,760. For someone spending $60,000 a year, that leaves a shortfall. For someone spending $40,000 a year, it produces a modest surplus. Spending is not just one input in the retirement equation. It is the most powerful lever available and the one most within a person's control. The relationship between spending and portfolio survival is not linear. Reducing annual spending by $10,000 does not just extend the portfolio by a proportional amount. It reduces the annual withdrawal rate, which changes the probability of portfolio survival in a way that compounds over decades. For someone with less than $1 million saved, spending discipline is not a lifestyle restriction. It is a mathematical necessity. Location compounds this dramatically, and this is the variable flagged at the beginning. In California, Hawaii, or Massachusetts, retirees frequently need between $1.5 and $2.2 million to maintain a pre-retirement lifestyle, according to Kiplinger's 2026 analysis. In states like Mississippi, Alabama, or West Virginia, the same lifestyle may be sustainable on considerably less. The $1 million benchmark was never universal. It was built around a specific cost of living that does not apply to large parts of the country. A retiree with $600,000 saved who moves from a high-cost metropolitan area to a lower-cost state may be in a substantially stronger financial position than a retiree with $800,000 who stays put. The decision about where to live in retirement is, in many cases, worth more than years of additional saving. Most retirement planning conversations treat location as fixed. It is, in fact, one of the most flexible and powerful elements of the entire equation. There is a third dimension that requires honest attention: healthcare. The 2024 Fidelity Retiree Healthcare Cost Estimate put the expected healthcare cost for a 65-year-old couple over the course of retirement at approximately $315,000. That figure covers Medicare premiums, supplemental insurance, and out-of-pocket costs, but does not include long-term care. A 2025 Morningstar report found that 43% of baby boomers will incur long-term care costs, with an average cost of $242,000. For someone with less than $1 million saved, these costs are not theoretical projections. They are near-term financial realities that need to be in the plan from the start. Addressing them through Medicare supplement insurance, a long-term care policy, or a dedicated health care reserve is not optional. It is the planning step that most directly determines whether the retirement lasts. Now, for the dimension of this that most retirement conversations get wrong. The $1 million benchmark has become so embedded in retirement culture that falling short of it triggers genuine distress, even when the underlying financial picture is workable. According to the AARP's 2025 Financial Security Trends Survey, 64% of Americans over 30 worry about having enough money in retirement. But worry is not planning. The emotional weight attached to a specific number often prevents people from doing the honest arithmetic that would actually answer the question. The honest arithmetic looks like this. Take projected Social Security income at the intended claiming age. Add any pension income. Add projected portfolio withdrawal at a sustainable rate. Compare the total to realistic projected spending, adjusted for where retirement will actually happen. If income exceeds spending, the plan works, regardless of whether the portfolio ever crossed $1 million. If there is a gap, the gap is the problem to solve, not the distance from an arbitrary benchmark. There is also a fourth income source that most retirement conversations treat as a last resort rather than a legitimate planning tool. Continued part-time work. According to Federal Reserve data, approximately 32% of retirees report some form of labor income after officially retiring. For someone with less than $1 million saved, even modest part-time income of $12,000 to $20,000 per year in the first 5 to 10 years of retirement produces an outsized benefit. It reduces the required portfolio withdrawal rate, allows the portfolio more time to compound, and delays the need to draw down Social Security. Every year, Social Security is deferred adds approximately 8% to the monthly benefit, permanently, and adjusted for inflation. The person who earns $15,000 a year part-time for the first 5 years of retirement and delays Social Security to 70 will, in most scenarios, end up in a materially stronger financial position than someone who retired completely and claimed at 62. If this kind of honest retirement analysis is useful to you, take a moment right now to hit the like button and subscribe. More content on exactly these topics is coming, and it only takes a few seconds. Closing the gap, when one exists, has two sides. On the income side, the single most powerful lever available is the timing of Social Security claiming. Every year of delay between full retirement age and 70 adds approximately 8% to the monthly benefit permanently. For someone with a smaller portfolio, maximizing Social Security is not just a useful strategy. It is the most important financial decision of their retirement. A 30% difference in monthly Social Security income, compounded over 20 or 30 years, is worth more than any other financial move available at this stage. On the expense side, a modest reduction in annual spending produces an outsized effect on how long the money lasts. For someone with $500,000 saved, the difference between withdrawing $20,000 a year and $30,000 a year is not $10,000. Over 20 years, accounting for growth, it can be the difference between a portfolio that lasts and one that does not. None of this is meant to minimize the challenge of retiring with less than most planning models suggest is ideal. The challenge is real. Healthcare costs alone represent a significant and often underplanned expense. Long-term care, which almost half of baby boomers will require at some point, can add substantially to that figure. These costs do not disappear because a person has less saved. They still arrive, regardless of whether the portfolio ever crossed the million-dollar line. Retiring with less than $1 million is workable for many people under the right conditions. Those conditions are lower spending, a lower cost of living, maximized Social Security benefits, and a clear-eyed understanding of what the actual income gap is and how it will be closed. The million-dollar benchmark is a useful starting point for a conversation. It is a poor substitute for the actual arithmetic. If you find this video useful, subscribe for more content that helps you build a retirement plan that actually works. The decisions you make in the next few years will matter enormously. The people who retire successfully on less than $1 million are not the ones who stumbled into a comfortable outcome. They are the ones who ran the real numbers, identified the gaps clearly, made deliberate decisions about spending and location, and treated Social Security timing as the high-stakes financial decision it actually is. None of those steps require more money. They require more honesty about what the numbers actually show. The benchmark was never designed for everyone. The arithmetic always was. The best time to run it honestly was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now.